Friday, First Lady Michelle Obama visited San Francisco. Perhaps some of you saw it on the news. And how do you think she came? Do you think she came riding on a donkey? I didn't see that video footage, did you? She came in lots of police cars, big processional. On the other side of the city, there was another kind of procession, another kind of parade, another kind of gathering. It was just a handful of people, really, and they were coming to sing and to pray and to work for justice. They were gathered so that they could lift their voices about justice for Trayvon Martin. On the first Palm Sunday, there were also two processionals. Pilate, the one who was in charge, came from the west with chariots and horses and soldiers marching, and dust was rising. Everybody kind of took a step back. But from the east came a different kind of leader. A leader that did come on a donkey. People didn't raise weapons or swords, and this leader didn't have any force or protection even, but was greeted not with swords and not with fear, but with what? With palms, with people singing, with people crying, Hosanna, which means save us. Jesus came in on a donkey, and it was as odd then as it would be now. If a leader, and the Pope just visited Mexico, did he come into the city on a donkey? The Pope-mobile. The donkey-mobile. It was as odd then as it would be now. And why? Because Jesus wanted to be a different kind of leader. He knew that in order to make a different way, things had to be done differently. In fact, his desire for peace became so great that he became peace. Say that with me. His desire for peace.
His desire for peace
became so great.
became so great.
Now kids, you say this. He became peace. His desire for peace became so great that he became peace. He embodied peace. And he did it that day by riding in on a donkey to show everybody that there was another way. But after this parade, and he had to feel great. I mean, people were shouting and waving their palms at him. In fact, some people got so excited, they took off their coats and they threw their coats down. The donkey walked right over them. How do you think your mom and dad would feel about that? That's how excited they were. And you would think that afterward he would have just said, wow, what a day. Whoa, I was the star of the parade. Is that what he did? No. You know what he did? He looked over the city and he started crying. He felt so sad. And he said, if only you knew the things that made for peace. If only you could understand what would make for peace. And he cried because people didn't understand. And it might be that if you looked over Jerusalem today, he might still be crying. But what do you think Jesus would cry about over our cities today? Do you have any ideas? Where to start? Anywhere, just try. Homelessness? What's that? Poverty? Bullying? Guns? Hunger? Health care?
Over spiritually.
AIDS, bad stuff. That covers a lot of things. You're right. And how about in our schools? Kids and youth. Mean people. Tests that not everybody can do the same. Underpaid teachers. Jesus and the teachers are crying about that, huh? Well, you know what? I read something. I actually heard it first on YouTube. I read something that made me cry. It's called The Lost Generation by Jonathan Reed. And Reverend Nicole is going to read it for us.
I am a part of a lost generation, and I refuse to believe that I can change the world. I realize this may be a shock, but happiness comes from within is a lie, and money will make me happy. So in 30 years, I will tell my children they are not the most important thing in my life. My employer will know that I have my priorities straight because work is more important than family. I tell you this, once upon a time, families stayed together. But this will not be true in my era. This is a quick fix society. Experts tell me 30 years from now, I will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of my divorce. I do not concede that I will live in a country of my own making. In the future, environmental destruction will be the norm. No longer can it be said that my peers and I care about this earth. It will be evident that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It is foolish to presume that there is hope.
You see why I cried when I heard that?
Yes.
But then I scrolled down and heard a little more. One more line of the poem that I hadn't seen. And it said, all of this will come true unless we reverse it. And so now Nicole is going to read the poem backwards. Because if we are to find another way, we can't do it like we've always done it. So now listen as she reads it from the bottom up.
There is hope. It is foolish to presume that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It will be evident that my peers and I care about this earth. No longer can it be said that environmental destruction will be the norm. In the future, I will live in a country of my own making. I do not concede that 30 years from now, I will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of my divorce. Experts tell me this is a quick fix society, but this will not be true in my era. Families stayed together once upon a time. I tell you this, family is more important than work. I have my priorities straight because my employer will know that they are not the most important thing in my life. So in 30 years, I will tell my children money will make me happy is a lie. Happiness comes from within. I realize that this may be a shock, but I can change the world. And I refuse to believe that I am a part of the lost generation.
Unless we reverse it. We will live in a violent, unstable world unless we reverse it. Peace is such a huge thing, and it's what Jesus not only became that day, but cried about because it wasn't happening. But he also celebrated and said, "Blessed are the peacemakers." So instead of going all global for a minute, let's start really simply. Let me just ask a question. What makes for peace in families? Since this is family worship. What makes for peace in families? No yelling.
Forgiveness.
Just go ahead and put up your hands so that we can hear you. Yes.
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Hearing.
Listening.
Listening. Zach.
Happiness.
Happiness. Orange.
Love.
Love. Ruby.
My grandparents.
Your grandparents. Make peace in your family. Beautiful. Nancy. Respect. How about some other children? What makes peace in your family? James, can you give me 2 words?
Hoping.
Hoping.
Helping.
Oh, helping. Beautiful. Yes, Mercy.
Forgiving.
Forgiving. Laughing. Understanding.
Helping.
Being there.
Hoping.
Hoping. Patience. Communication. Being full of joy. Trust. The ability to negotiate. So I want you to take that wisdom from our children, from our parents, and from our elders, and just think for 1 minute. Listening, hoping, forgiving, trusting. In other words, we know how to do this. Do we not? We do know what it takes for peace. But we must desire that so much that we become peace. That we're willing to read things backwards. That we're willing to do the equivalent of whatever it is of riding on a donkey. That we are willing to find not an either or, but a both and way that includes more and more people. And that we live by the mantra, as our children sang so beautifully today, justice, kindness, walk humbly with your God. As we step into Holy Week, may we experience all of what this world is as we look to resurrection and as we look to becoming peace. Thank you for your service.